Hey, this is Michael Rosenbaum.
Hey guys, Tom Welling. Look, we've both played heroes.
And we both played villains. But in the real life, there are no reshoots, no stuntmen, or sequels.
We all make mistakes. We're all human.
Making one bad decision can not only land you in jail, but could also put yourself and other people around you in serious risk.
Be smart, make a plan, catch a ride, stay put.
Don't let a high moment turn into a lifetime of regret. This holiday season, be your own hero. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI.
Paid for by NHTSA.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
Hey Trojan family, what's up? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dybert. Thank you as always for making all of these videos a part of your day and the USC LAFB channel a part of all your USC Trojans needs. I appreciate it. As always, if you have not already, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us to continue to grow. Quickly wanted to jump on here again and kind of discuss some of the remaining players that have not been announced as re-signing and kind of if I expect them to be back. Coach Riley said yesterday during his media availability after practice that they have a lot more guys that have re-signed, and they're just kind of, there's a cadence to how they will announce those. But I also wanted to talk about, like, why are these signings being announced? And are these re-signings different from what they have been in the past? And also, why is everyone nationally absolutely hating on this Act 2 that USC is demonstrating? I think, there's this simple answer that it's USC. And, that's why we have the shirt here at LAFB, hate us because you ain't us. Anything that USC does, most of the aforementioned, even the media, national media, but also obviously all the other teams are just, they're not going to like very much until they start doing it as well and follow suit. That's what happens, right? When you're an innovator in any space, and the city of Los Angeles is an innovator in a lot of spaces. And obviously USC is trying to be the innovator in many different spaces as well in the way they do things, specifically in this new NIL era. Like when Chad Bowden was hired, and we've built this staff and Lincoln Riley and his coaching staff and everything, they kept saying, like, not just the moniker, this is the place to be, but we are going to win the NIL era. And it's because of the resource, not just the resources we have, but because of, being Angelinos, being in LA, being the forward thinkingness that this university is, and yada, yada, yada. Like, they've been saying this now for a year. And so it's all intentional. Everything that they have been doing is done with real intention. And, obviously there's some fun to it, some social media fun. There's obviously a business side to social media and also just a learning side. This is, a student kind of run organization in a sense, when you look at, all these students that are growing in the social media space and helping run these accounts. And so there's obviously a learning aspect to marketing, and being one of the top social media accounts doesn't just bode well, for the program, the team, and for marketing out there, but actually for the students that run them and are learning, that can now take these talents to, real fulfilling jobs down the line. So, there's a side of that, but there's certainly a side of intention. So before I get to kind of the players, I put out there, and so this kind of, I kind of had this idea, but this gave me some real insight into kind of why why USC is doing it this way. And again, I think the announcements is more of just kind of a, hey, let's celebrate who's coming back. You know, it's a social media push. We're trying to be at the forefront of kind of social media and, you know, different avenues of media. This is the media capital of the world, and USC is in the center of all of it. And USC is obviously has a great entertainment and media department when it comes to just their education. And so why would we not lean into that? It's also, I think, fun for the athletes. I mean, why not? You see every professional sports program during free agency, when a player signs, they're at the desk, their name's on the TV behind them, the helmet's next to them, and it's posted that they've signed. We are kind of in this new era of free agency, whether people like it or not. And so why not lean into that, have some fun with it, celebrate the players that were, you know, invited to return back to the school, to the program. Because as Coach Riley said yesterday, if you listen to the interview, like it's not easy now with this new era. Everyone kind of talks about the players leaving and players leaving a program looking for other opportunity. But it's also the program, like, you know, it should be considered an honor to have been welcomed back. I'm trying to say that kind of differently, but, you know, you're not guaranteed a spot every year. And so, you know, it's a big deal to say, hey, we still are enjoying your development, enjoying what we're building here, and we want to see you continue to grow with us in what we're trying to build. So the celebration of that aspect, I think, is fun. I think one thing that, you know, and this is what I said, I think that a lot of people probably don't know, and this might not be every single student athlete out there, but the majority, even before the NIL era, majority of student athletes, you know, you sign a renewable scholarship contract or whatever you want to call it back then. It wasn't really a contract per se, but you would sign a renewable contract. Most of those were yearly or annually renewable. You know, there were some instances, I think it started in maybe 2021, where you could sign multi-year scholarships. And, you know, that there's some graininess there that I'm not going to pretend to understand all the ins and outs. But for the most part, a lot of student athletes, and you can talk to them and you can talk to former athletes that, yeah, every year you kind of re-sign your scholarship, that you were offered, you know, a scholarship to attend that school. So this isn't like a new thing of re-signing. It just feels very different because USC is like announcing them as re-signing to an extent. But then this is what I thought was really interesting in this. So Cody Worsham actually commented, I'll put it up here on the screen, on my post regarding this, and he's the Senior Associate AD of Strategic Communications and Brand Advancement for USC Athletics. And he said, to be specific, they are now signing NIL licensing agreements, which is new and is informed in our strategy. Again, everything they are doing is intentional, has a purpose, has a reason, has a story. And so when you think about NIL licensing agreement, again, I'll give you the very broad. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in those rooms. So I haven't had I didn't sit down with Cody and sit down with any of these contractual things. So I don't want you to take what I'm saying as biblical. This is kind of just an overarching understanding from me kind of diving into this. But when you sign like an NIL licensing deal in general, you're basically signing, the athlete is signing their rights for that entity to use their name, image, and likeness for compensation. So kind of in the initial NIL era, you would sign an NIL licensing agreement with Gatorade or with whoever, Converse, Honda of Pasadena. And then, you know, you would do a marketing campaign with them. You would get compensated for them to kind of use you as like a brand ambassador, if you will. And then obviously there was the growth of the collectives, and there was all this kind of unknown of how it actually worked with the collectives and how that compensation, it was typically like on the surface level, it was like the collective would do all the background work to find the brands to partner with the athlete. So like you sign, again, this is all just very baseline, but like you sign with House of Victory gets a partnership with Nike, and then the athlete is doing, you know, brand engagement with Nike, who is then they're getting compensated kind of through the collective that's collecting from Nike. It's kind of like that funnel, if you will. Well, now with these straight NIL licensing deal directly with the university, based on my understanding, it's kind of like, hey, for years, college institutions have been licensing these players through merchandise, through social media, whatever, through TV deals. And so now it's a way the school is saying, hey, we're able to directly, use that licensing and compensate you in a direct fashion. And obviously we know about the whole rev share agreement with the NCAA and all those things. So I mean, again, there's a lot more probably nitty gritty to that. And so I don't want to come across at all of misleading, but that is directly kind of more so what is happening, which is so forward thinking and actually does resonate with a re-signing, if you will, for these posts, as opposed to just in the past when they did re-sign kind of scholarship offers. So it's just really kind of strategic and intentional in how USC is doing things. And so people can hate all they want. They can say it's, cheesy or corny or whatever. I saw Joel Klatt, who I love Joel Klatt. I agree with almost everything he says, but he didn't specifically say USC. Well, I think he brought up someone from USC, but he also brought up Lenora Sellers because other schools have it, not now. So I don't know if they've done every player like USC has, but he was basically like, I can't do it with these re-signing posts. But I mean, we're in a different world now. We're in a semi-professional college football world. And it's funny to me to hear all of these old school talking heads that for years were like, we're pro athlete. We want the athletes to get compensated. Yada, yada, the evil empire that are, collegiate athletes making all their collegiate athletics, making all this money when these kids can't afford this. And then those same people, and I'm not saying this is Joel Klatt, I just used him earlier, but the same type of people are like, I can't with this anymore. Like, this isn't college football. This isn't the sanctity of the game. This isn't the pageantry of college football. You can't have it both ways, right? It's a different era. We're in a different era now. And USC is embracing that era and essentially reinventing, if you will, and reinvigorating how to do business in a way that is actually conducive of the future of the sport. And they're doing it that way and then celebrating it within a social media marketing campaign that brings these student athletes closer to the fan base. Because that's been the biggest thing lost in college football, in college athletics, with the transfer portal, is a sense of identity, I guess, between the player and the fan base. Because it was already hard enough as it is if a player is only at a program 3 to 4 years. But it's becoming even harder with how many kids are there within a year leave. Like, it's hard for a fan base to resonate with a player, but they're just not there more than a year. Especially if you're a donor and you're donating and a kid is there and then all of a sudden the kid bails. And you're like, man, what did I donate to? So USC is kind of locking this in terms of program building and obviously roster construction, but then utilizing that construction in a marketing campaign that can now better identify players with the fan base and kind of excitement and like, yeah, my quarterback, Jade Maava, he's back. He's re-signed. We got our big free agent. Right? I mean, I think it's pretty cool. It's very forward thinking. I think it's very cool. So looking now at kind of who's left. Hey, what's going on, LAFB family? Before we get to the show, got to tell you about my friends over at Sleeper. The number one sports app right now, and not just for season-long fantasy. They have daily game updates. They have a live chat that you can chat with other users. Plus, my favorite part is the daily fantasy feature, which is similar to a pick'em. You just choose 2 or more players across any sport. Choose more or less in whatever sport that may be. So if it's football, more or less touchdowns. For Jaden Maava, if it's Makai Lemon, more or less receptions. If you're looking at the Dodgers, more or less home runs for Shohei Ohtani, really easy, and you can win real money. Right now, when you go and make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code. You see it right there on the screen, USC LAFB. That's going to give you a match deposit bonus up to $100. You put in $100 to play with, you're going to get $100 free on top of that. You can put in 10, you get 10 free. Also, right now, our friends are offering a $20 free entry for any new signups. If you go sign up today, you'll get both those offers. You get $20 right off the bat free to play with. Plus, use that promo code USCLAFB at sign up and you'll get that match bonus as well. Go to the App Store, Google Play, download the Sleeper app today, and tell them that the USC LAFB sent you. Now, let's get on to the show. And I'm talking starters. Obviously, there's some freshmen left. There's some younger guys that haven't had, a ton of playing time. The Isaiah Rubins of the world, the Marquise Gallegos of the world that I expect to be back, hope to be back. We'll see if all those signings get announced. I feel like they're probably doing more of like the starters, the guys that started this year and were more name brands. Like a D Reddick, we'll see if he's one included. I do expect him to be back as well. But looking just at kind of the starters or the significant role players, who is still left that has yet to be announced as of this recording. We got the Miller brothers, and I wanted to start with them specifically, Kalen and King Miller, because I feel like there's no way they will not be back. I mean, their brother just signed on as a priority walk-on. We know how instrumental they were this year. We know how big love they are to this team. They were here paying to be here. And the staff has said many times, like, yeah, once available, they should be scholarship athletes. So fully, I'm like 99.99999% positive they will be re-signed. And I think there will be some cool announcement with the both of them. I think they'll do something fun with the both of them, because not only are they re-signing, or I guess it wouldn't even be re-signing in a way. I mean, they were like priority walk-ons, but they would be legit first-time signing a scholarship and an NIL licensing package. So they would get the double whammy there of like, hey, I'm now a scholarship athlete and I'm getting paid to be here. Instead of 2 months ago, mom and dad were paying for me to be here, paying for us to be here. So I think they'll just do something cool for both the Miller brothers. Alani Noah, starting guard. Expect him to be back. Haven't heard anything. So that's one to look out for. And then really the last one on offense, and probably the biggest one, is Walker Lyons. Again, don't think I have no fear. Like Lincoln Riley said yesterday, like they have a lot of guys re-signed that they just haven't announced yet. I expect him to be one of those. I think he's super important to this offense moving forward. And also the pairing of him and Mark Bowman next year is going to be not only a great tight end tandem, but I think it's going to be extremely integral to the offense and to the identity of the offense. Because the big misnomer with Lincoln Riley's offense, specifically this year, around anyone that just didn't watch USC, is that they utilized the tight end position. They ran a lot of 12 and 13 personnel this year. And there's that big misnomer that it's just air raid. They got 5 wide receivers. They don't use the tight end. Like, okay, you didn't watch USC this year. They run a lot of 12 personnel. They ran quite a bit of 13 personnel. So you're seeing a lot of tight ends. So you need 2 competent tight ends with Lake McCree going to the draft. So fully expect Walker Lyons to be back, and the pairing of him and Mark Bowman is it's going to feed families. So that's all on offense. That's it of the starters, or excuse me, I did miss one big one. Tobias Raymond also I expect to fully be re-signed as well. And then you have and Elijah Page. I don't know how I missed those 2 as I'm going down my list. So 2 very Walker Lyons, and then probably Elijah Page and Tobias Raymond and Alani Noah. So on the offensive line right now, so forgive me, I don't know how I glossed over that. You have Killian O'Connor and Justin Tawanu'u both re-signed. And then so we're waiting on Elijah Page, Tobias Raymond, and Alani Noah. So I expect all 3, unless Elijah Page is deciding to go to the draft. Obviously, he's not going to play in the bowl game. He had surgery for injury, so he is done for the year. But I expect him to be back next year. And then Tobias Raymond, fully expect. I think he loves being a Trojan, and we saw how versatile he is. And if he can play a full year at guard, which I think is his best position, and then Alani Noah continues to develop and whatnot and be that starting right guard, you have your starting offensive line set before the transfer portal, which I think is very important. If you can get all 5 of those guys, you got it set. And then, yeah, you'll still add pieces in the portal that are going to come in and compete. And you got all these young guys and all this depth. So your offensive line was in a great spot going into the transfer portal. On defense, and again, receiver-wise, I didn't, obviously Corey Sims, Ramiro Eisen, like there's others, but I was just mentioning the main starters. Defense, Devin Tompkins, we'll see what he decides. He was not listed by Riley as someone not playing in the game, but again, Riley listed more of the draft eligible and injured guys. He didn't say anyone was opting out, which maybe that means no one's opting out, which would be great. But we'll see about Devin Tompkins. Jade Abasari, I think he is super important to bring back. He's a true sophomore. He's going to continue to get better and better. I thought he got better and better as the year went on. So Jade Abasari, absolutely. Jakeem Stewart and Floyd Picard, fully expect them. Both true freshmen. We saw how good they are. I talked yesterday about Jakeem Stewart playing with a fractured foot the entire year and was still explosive and dominant the snaps he was out there. Floyd Picard was like the true gem of the freshman class. Gem is in like underrated 3-star guy that just wowed everybody. And in his limited reps, was just such a dominant force in the middle with that size. I mean, again, I think the Purdue game had like 13 snaps and 6 pressures. Incredible what he was able to use with the limited snaps he had, and he got a little banged up too. Hopefully we'll see him in the bowl game, but I expect Stewart and Picard to be back.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Cam Crawford, another one. Expect him to be back. Obviously, we're waiting to see the full the announcement of the re-signing. But I think, with Braylon Shelby already re-signing, Braylon Shelby and Cam Crawford going into the year as your 2 starting edges with depth behind them, I think would be very good. And then Desmond Stevens, we'll see about him. They already announced Jaden Walker, the other linebacker. So we'll see about Desmond Stevens and his officially re-signing to be back. And then finally, Kennedy Urlacher, who, was a depth player, but then was kind of forced to start out of necessity. Really liked what I saw from him. We'll see what true role he plays, and obviously I think USC will go after probably a safety in the portal to pair with Christian Pierce, who is already re-signed. But I think Kenny Urlacher will compete for that spot along with some of the young guys coming in, and along with some of the depth, like I mentioned earlier, Marquise Gallegos, Isaiah Rubin, some of those guys. So Kenny Urlacher, I expect all these guys I expect to re-sign. Like, there's been no portal entries out of these guys obviously yet, and I expect to see them all in the bowl game as well. So there you go. That's who's kind of we're left waiting on. And if all these guys end up getting re-signed, then you have kind of your starting core intact. And you're going to go grab a couple impact guys from the portal that will compete to start. And then it's just all your depth and develop with the young guys in the 35-person freshman class coming in. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Drop your comments below. Everything's intentional, guys, with this team and how they're doing things. It's all intentional. People can hate it all they want. It's kind of fun. Like, we're in the offseason. Like, I don't know why other people care. I honestly question, like, Oregon fans. I'm like, do they actually like Oregon? Because all they do is talk about USC. That's all I see. So any Oregon fans in here watching me right now, welcome. Glad you're always here. Comment below. Come on the show. Because a lot of you are Oregon content creators that all you do is talk USC. So we can do a show together. But anyway, appreciate you all. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's keep this thing growing. I'll be back again, one more video tonight. Got a little recruiting update for you, so we'll drop that later in the evening. Appreciate you. As always, fight on.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.